Do you know what? I want to talk about when he finally switches up on you. So this is jokes. This is interesting because it's the inevitable thing where it's going well with the guy you like. There is harmony in the connection. You feel like nothing could possibly go wrong because it's been going well for so long. There is great communication and you're starting to feel yourself become more and more comfortable with expressing your insecurities, or you're okay with being a little bit clingy with him sometimes because it's just what it is, and then one day you get some funny energy from him and then you're like, oh, this changes everything because now I feel weird and now I don't know if he likes me anymore and now I feel uncertainty and now XYZ, and it's all just sort of unraveling into this strange, what are we? I want to talk about what happens when the love bombing runs out, because that's such an interesting thing that happens in conjunction with him switching up on you. So what does switching up on you mean? Well, the switch up is when maybe you have your first argument, or maybe the switch up is like he's just started acting off with you, even though for so long the bond was there, the connection was there. There was no reason for you to doubt how he felt about you. But I think when the love bombing runs out, it's so jokes. Because it's like, oh, here we go. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it, sir? I've experienced that before where, I've always said that love bombing isn't just a guy spending money on you or buying you gifts or giving you loads of compliments. Like, love bombing can come in many forms. I think love bombing is just about a man bringing a level of intensity to catch you off guard. So it could be that love bombing is a man who is like dangling a career opportunity over your head. So he's like selling you this dream that he's gonna introduce you to this famous person, or he's gonna put you in a room of people who can level you up. Just that whole thing that men in the industry can sometimes do. I consider that love bombing as well, because they're doing it from a place of fancying you, and what they want in return is a sexual relationship with you. I think what's interesting about the love bombing and when he switches up on you is how you handle it when it inevitably happens. Because for me, now that I've started to become more familiar with men's patterns and the ways that they behave when they want to catch you off guard, I've learned to kind of like be in on it, like play into it. So they think that, oh yeah, it's working. She's becoming more open because I'm being more nice to her. She's spending more time with me because I'm being nice to her. She's enjoying hanging out with me because I'm treating her the way she enjoys being treated. And then when they inevitably stop, I don't act like, oh my God, the rug has been pulled from under my feet. I didn't see that coming at all. It's like, oh, okay, the time has come for you to show me who you are. Because I think what men expect from love bombing is they want you to have sex with them and they want you to become bound to them so that you keep on having sex with them and you keep on being emotionally available to them and sexually available at the same time and making excuses for them and not being able to let them go. Because in your mind, you're like looking back on what's led you both to this point and you're like, well, he's gotten me all these gifts and he's been so nice to me, he's so romantic, I've never met a guy like this, how will I ever meet someone again like this? That's what they want. But for me, when the love bombing runs out, my attention also runs out. So I've actually gotten pretty good at giving guys measure for measure, as in ignoring them, acting like they don't exist anymore. Because the switch up that men do on you is intended to catch you off guard. They want you to wonder where they are. They want you to feel bad that they've not reached out to you. They want you to become scared and panic and seek their validation. Because when you need someone's validation, you need them. And once they've got you in that place, then they can have their way with you as they like. With me, however, the moment the love bombing has come to an end, I give myself the opportunity and time to acknowledge that things were good, and I don't have to hate this guy for me to be indifferent towards him, because hate is still a passionate feeling. It's not about hating him. It's about being like, oh, okay, so you tried with me what you've tried with everyone else, and for the most part it has obviously worked for you, which is why you did it again. With me, you thought that I was going to be the person who would have a mental breakdown when you suddenly stop the love bombing. I'm not that person, and it's a shame you've had to find out in this way by me just acting like you don't exist anymore. But it's very telling when a man kind of like switches up on you and then you stop talking to him and he's actually okay with not hearing from you. Because then it makes you think, okay, so that was love bombing then, because when you was loading and showering me with all this attention and gifts and flowers and all the things that you thought would get me hooked on you, you were not okay with not hearing from me. You were not okay with the idea of ignoring me. So now that your resources that you've allocated to me have dried up, this is the real you. Interesting. I do think that men should chase women, because women are the prize and women have options. Women are the ones who are either going to say yes or no to sex with you. Like, you want to have sex with me, so I'm going to decide. So just move back while I decide. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm the boss here. But I do think there's something laughable about when men lose the stamina to chase you. This is why, in my opinion, it's not every man you must entertain just because he's giving you attention. Because, like, sometimes when a man is chasing you and he knows that this is not his place, this is not his league, this is not where he should be, but he's still chasing you, he will switch up on you when he sees that it's not working anymore. When he runs out of that stamina, he will switch up on you because he hopes that in him switching up, maybe that will be like the last sort of attempt to see if you'll be like, hey, where did you go? What's going on? Because that will give him the indication that you like him. There are men who are so insecure that they almost need to do that sort of weird reverse engineered thing where they will love bomb you, overload you with attention, compliments, and watching your stories and liking your stories and sending you compliments and heart eye emojis and fire emojis. And then when they see that you're not really giving them the reciprocation that they want, that's when they slowly pull away in the hopes that you will notice. That's why you got to act like you didn't notice. Another instance when men switch up on you is when they want to see if you like them. Like I said earlier, they want to see if you like them. So it's almost like, and this is common with the more childish men. This is why I don't date young men. I don't date men of my age group. Even if he's in his mid-30s. I'm not in my mid-30s yet, but even if he's in his mid-30s, we have nothing to discuss. We actually don't. Because oftentimes with men who are in their 30s or like just 20s, same age group, they're still immature and they're still using the same old tricks from their earlier 20s, right? Because most of them, they haven't been married before, or they haven't been with a woman long enough to have felt the depth of her wrath, and they don't really have the riz required to actually like be with a woman long enough to impress her enough to like marry her and actually stay with her for a good decade. So in my opinion, if you're dating young men / men of your age group, if you're in your 20s or 30s, that's a risk that you have chosen to take, because they will do little things to try and see if you like them, including switching up on you on purpose. Because as women, like, we're very responsive to energy and we pick up on minor changes, especially if you're someone who's anxious attached, which is why another thing, stop telling all this, what's your love language, what's your attachment style, stop telling men that, stop telling them. No. When men ask you what your love language is, cash, gifts, money. When men ask you what's your attachment style, money, financial attachment. Don't be telling them that your dad left. Don't be telling them that you're anxious and you fear abandonment. Don't be telling them that your love language is physical touch. First of all, your love language should be all of them, because love is a multi-directional, multi-layered feeling, and you don't just love someone through physical touch. You don't just love someone through words of affirmation. I get that with the love language thing, it's like, oh, what makes you feel the most love? For me, you don't have to pick one. Do you know that? What's your love language? Some of us are multilingual, okay? So I speak all the love languages and I understand all of them. But the language I'm most fluent in is the language of love, where money is spent on me, because I love that shit. For some women, they love when men touch them. I actually don't really like if we're going down this whole like order, the hierarchy of the love languages, physical touch is at the very bottom. Like, don't touch me, innit? Not because I'm angry or because I don't like being touched. It's more just, do I fucking know you? I don't know you. I don't know you like that either. Like, I don't want to be touched necessarily, but you can financially connect with me. Love that shit. And I'm not even being sarcastic. And this is another thing. Even men who will send you money and give you money, they can also switch up on you as well. You'll be surprised. Listen, I have experienced it where this is quite a few times, and I know it's not personal because, like I have said, like, men who can afford to send you money or men who have the disposable income, the reality is there's probably more than one woman that they're giving money to, so it's not that deep. But I've experienced when men have given me big money and have ghosted. Like, it's like, if anything, I prefer it that way. Like, you gonna give me money and leave me alone. But there is no guarantee that a man will not switch up on you. I've seen some pretty horrific switch ups in my time. Thankfully, I've not experienced them, but I've seen men do some heinous things, in terms of the switch up. And look, I've met women who have told me of scenarios, yeah, and I don't even open my mouth to give advice because, first of all, who asked me? Sometimes people just want to be heard. They don't even want your advice; they just want to be heard. Second of all, I don't like to see my outlook as advice. I like to see it as ideas. You can take what you need and leave what you don't, because the reality is we're not living the same life and we're not making decisions from the same experiences. So you're going to do what you're going to do regardless. Like, one thing I don't do anymore is be giving people advice, because they're going to still, after you've wasted your energy talking, they're still going to go do what they're going to do anyway, especially if they're the kind that don't want to leave. So unless I'm specifically, explicitly asked for my advice, I'm not giving nothing. But I've seen some horrific switch ups in my time. And all I'm going to say is, look, don't take a man's word for it when he tells you he loves you, okay? You gotta feel it in your pockets. You got to smell it in the perfume he's bought you. You got to feel it in the cozy flat you're living in that he's paying for. You got to feel it multidimensionally, babe, because feelings can change. Okay? Feelings can fucking change. But when a man has acted on his love for you and has put financial measures in place for you to be protected and supported, even if he switches up on you, you're still enjoying the benefits of when things were good with him. Do you get? So in my case, right, like, I've got hella jewelry that men have like gifted me over the years, and I don't throw them away. Like, I mean, depending on how things ended with the guy, like, I might throw them away, but there's some that I've kept because they're really, really nice and things didn't end on awful terms. But I see those kept pieces of jewelry from men that have gifted me as like the spoils of, you know, when men start wars in other people's countries and they like come home with trinkets of shit they collected from that person's country. Like, yeah, look what I brought. Look what I brought back with me after I desecrated someone's land. So in my case, it's like, yeah, sometimes I like wear the jewelry that past men have gifted me, and it's just hilarious, isn't it? Because it's like, wow, who would have thought that when this jewelry was given to me, we were laughing and cackling, we were in such a good place. Who would have thought he would have switched up on me? Life is crazy, innit? Life is fucking crazy. But don't be scared of the switch up. Don't be so over invested in one person too soon that when he switches up on you, your whole life feels like it's been turned upside down. So I see that happen to women all the time, and it's very yikes. I feel that I'm very lucky in the sense that I'm not the most emotionally reactive person. I emphasize the word reactive because I'm still an emotional person. I'm very emotional. I'm very sensitive. Am I reactive? Nope. Especially when a man is like offending me in real time. I don't always let it show in my face. I don't always react in the moment. I take time to think about it. I like to let him talk so that, there's more? Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, so that's reason number 14 of why he's not seeing me again after today. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes when you're reactive, you miss out on the other things they were going to say. Or sometimes when you're reactive, you don't come across like the boss you think you are. You just come off quite clingy, or you come off like needy in their eyes. It's just not the best look, to be honest. I also think that with a lot of men, they really do think that their power is in having an emotional hold on you, which is why it's so important for you to not give them the reaction that they're expecting. Because when a man switches up on you, instead of to get emotional over it and lash out at him, I would get emotional over it and start to use those emotions as an opportunity to review whether this is the man for me. Because the man for me is not going to be switching up on me like that. Like, why would you put yourself in a position where you could lose me? Because now that means you don't like me. So if a man doesn't like me, then it makes sense for me to leave, surely. Because why would I be with a man who doesn't like me? Do you get? So I just want for women to get stronger. And the mistake I've seen a lot of women make is getting too emotionally invested way too soon. I think as a woman, the emotional investment comes last. Because once you're emotionally invested, you're emotionally invested. But if you lead with already being emotionally invested because you like him and because you've projected ideas onto what you think he could be and what you think the future could look like with him, it makes it harder for you to control yourself, and it makes it more difficult for you to see reality for what it is because you're clouded by your emotions. And those are the women who I don't even bother to give no advice or insight or ideas to. I just lead them to it because nothing I say is going to undo your emotional attachment because it's like removing chewing gum from a denim jacket. I just, those people, I can't help them. I'm not going to try because it's really annoying as well. Like, with all due respect, like, but for me, it's just annoying because here I am with my objective view of things because I'm not emotionally attached to the man. I haven't slept with him. I don't have anything with him. So as the woman who you've come to sort of like get my perspective on him, I'm like bamboozled as to why you can't leave. But because you're emotionally invested, you're gummed to him. So that's why when he switches up on you, it sends you into a mental breakdown because you're emotionally invested. But is he emotionally invested? He's not. He's not emotionally invested because a man can be financially invested without being emotionally invested, you know. A man can be seeing you all the time, making out time to spend with you, taking you on dates, and he can still not be emotionally invested. So that's why I believe in saving being emotionally invested for last. Delay it as much as you can because when you get prematurely emotionally invested, all the decisions you make will be emotional. So even when you're upset, you have these emotional outbursts, you're crying, you're just a mess. And then when you're in a place where you're happier and you're in the good spot with him, it's still a very emotional good spot. So like any small thing can puncture that sweet spot you're in. So how do you resist being emotionally invested? Well, part of it I think is not running away too far into the daydreaming of the fantasies of what your life will be like with him, because that just produces more of the fucking chemical in your brain that makes you want to be more bound to him. I think another thing as well with like resisting being too emotionally invested is seeing the situation for what it is, and always remembering that you're there for a reason. Because then, like, if you have things in mind that you want to benefit from in your partnership with him, then there's room for you to be more focused on that. I'm not saying that you're never going to experience any kind of emotional connection with him. You're a person, of course, especially if, like, look, if a man is treating you well, doing all the things you expect of him, and generally making you feel loved and safe and supported, of course there's going to be a connection. But at the same time, I just think that the danger of over binding yourself so early on is the idea of leaving becomes this mountain that could have just been a literal step you could have just taken if you weren't emotionally invested. Like, emotions make everything so much harder. And I think women make things hard for themselves by being too emotional too early on, in my opinion. So when the man switches up on you, if you're emotionally invested, you're going to lose your mind. If you're not emotionally invested, you're going to be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Well, I guess my journey of detachment from you begins today. With each day you don't talk to him, you get stronger. That's how you do it. It's not easy if it's someone you like, but I promise you, with each day you don't talk to him, you get stronger, because when you've not heard from him, you're like, oh, interesting. So he's not made any attempts to rectify or resolve the silent environment he's created from his behavior. Okay, that's very telling. So I guess I've made the right choice in deciding to pull away from this man. By the time you're 7-8 days into pulling away, you'll be way stronger than you would have been on day 2. First 48 hours is always the hardest, but it gets easier the longer you do it. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I hope that the next man that you connect with does not switch up on you. But more importantly, if he does switch up on you, I hope you have the strength, the resilience, the self-awareness to not take it as a traumatizing trigger and mentally unravel before him. Please do not give him that satisfaction. Please just act like you don't exist anymore. And I promise you, you will be fine.